the scent of simmering marinara sauce, a recipe passed down through generations of my husband's family, usually wrapped me in a comforting embrace, a promise of warmth and belonging. But today, it just made my stomach churn. My husband, David, and I stood on the manicured lawn of his parents' sprawling suburban home. The afternoon sun a stark, cheerful contrast to the heavy dread pooling in my gut. We were late. Fashionably late. My grandmother would have called it. I called it self-preservation. Every extra minute in the car, every moment we sat in the driveway psyching ourselves up, was a minute we weren't inside, having performed normalcy. Ready? David asked, his voice gentle, his hand finding mine and giving a squeeze. His eyes, the same warm brown as his father's, held a mirror of my own apprehension. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Ready was a concept that felt as foreign as joy these days. But we were here. We had to be. His sister, Nicole, had been relentless. A huge family announcement, she teased in the group chat, her text littered with so many exclamation points and emojis they looked like a digital cry for help. It's imperative you're both there. Don't you dare bail. We've been bailing on everything for the past 4 months. Family dinners, Sunday brunches, his cousin's engagement party. Each event was a minefield of pitying glances, awkward silences, and the unspoken, deafening absence of the life we were supposed to be bringing into the world. The life we had lost. Taking a deep breath, I let David lead me through the front door. The familiar chaos of a DiNardo family gathering immediately enveloped us. His mom, Rose, was holding court in the kitchen, her voice a melodic shriek of instructions over the bubbling pots. His dad, Tony, was in the living room, debating baseball with David's uncles. Cousins were scattered everywhere. Kids were running underfoot, and the air was thick with the sound of a large, loving, and utterly overwhelming family. We were immediately swarmed. Hugs, kisses on both cheeks, questions about work, about the new car, about everything and nothing. No one mentioned the baby. The elephant in the room was so large it had its own gravitational pull, subtly altering the orbit of every conversation around us. People's eyes would flicker to my stomach, then quickly away. Their smiles would be a beat too long, their touches on my arm a little too light, too careful. It was suffocating. Nicole spotted us from across the room and squealed. She detached herself from a group of cousins and bounded over, her long, dark hair bouncing, her smile dazzling. She was glowing, literally glowing, in a way that seemed almost aggressive. "You made it! Finally!" she exclaimed, pulling me into a hug that was too tight, too perfunctory. It was the kind of hug you give someone you're checking off a list, not someone you're genuinely happy to see. Over her shoulder, I saw her husband, Mike, give us a nod from the couch, a beer already in his hand. Wouldn't miss it. David lied smoothly, patting her on the back. Nicole pulled back, her eyes scanning my face with an intensity that felt like an interrogation. "You look well," she said, the pause before, well, speaking volumes. "Resting up? Taking care of yourself?" I managed a tight smile. Trying to... Good, she said, already dismissing me, her attention snapping back to the room at large, to her stage. "Okay, everyone, can I have your attention, please?" The room gradually fell silent. Tony muted the baseball game. Rose wiped her hands on her apron and came to stand in the archway between the kitchen and living room. All eyes turned to Nicole, who was now beaming, practically vibrating with excitement. Mike stood up and ambled over to her side, sliding an arm around her waist. "Mike and I have some news," Nicole announced, her voice ringing with triumph. Some absolutely incredible news. My heart began to hammer against my ribs. A cold, slithering premonition coiled in my stomach. "Please, no. Please, not this. Not here. Not now. We're pregnant," she shrieked. The room erupted. Cheers, clapping, a whoop from one of the cousins. Rose let out a cry of joy and rushed forward, enveloping Nicole in a hug. Tony was on his feet, pumping his fist in the air, a grin splitting his face. Congratulations flew like confetti. It was a scene of pure, unadulterated happiness, and I was drowning in it. The air left my lungs in a whoosh. The world tilted on its axis. I felt David's hand instinctively grab mine, his grip bone-crushingly tight. We stood there, two statues in a sea of celebration, utterly frozen. The noise faded to a dull roar in my ears. All I could see was Nicole's radiant face. All I could hear was the blood pounding in my own head. After a moment, Nicole held up her hands for quiet, a self-deprecating laugh escaping her. Okay, settle down. There's more. She waited for the room to hush, milking the moment. She glanced around, her eyes landing on us, on me, with a look of such calculated pity it made my blood run cold. I know these past few months have been so hard for our family, she began, her voice dropping to a somber register that felt grotesquely theatrical. We've all been through a lot of sadness. And when we found out our happy news, we thought, what better way to bring some light back into this family, to honor the pain we've all shared, than by sharing our joy with everyone today. She was using our grief, our private, shattered, agonizing grief. She was holding it up for everyone to see, using it as a backdrop to make her own happiness shine brighter. A few people turned to look at us, their faces a mixture of sympathy and awkwardness. They offered small, pitying nods as if to say, see, something good came out of your tragedy after all. Humiliation, hot and sharp, washed over me. I felt like I was on display, my wounds pried open for everyone to witness. Then Nicole dropped the next bombshell. And, she said, her smile returning, brighter than ever, we've already picked out names. If it's a girl, she'll be named Sophia. And if it's a boy, he'll be named Stephen. The room went silent for a second, then a murmur of, oh, how lovely, and what a beautiful tribute, rippled through the crowd. But for me, the world didn't just tilt. It shattered. Sophia, Stephen, the names David and I had chosen, the names we had whispered to each other in the dark, our hands resting on my still flat stomach, the names we had painted on the nursery wall in our minds, the names we had practiced saying out loud just to feel them on our tongues. Sophia for our little girl, with her grandmother's eyes. Stephen for our son, named after David's beloved grandfather. They were our names, the names of our child, the child we had lost. I stared at Nicole, my vision blurring. She was looking directly at me, a small, satisfied smile playing on her lips. It wasn't a tribute. It was a theft, a public, brutal annexation of the most intimate, sacred thing we had left. She was taking our daughter's name, the only thing we still had of her, and claiming it for herself. David's hand tightened on mine until it was almost painful. I could feel the tension radiating from him, a violent tremor in his otherwise still frame. He took a step forward, his voice a low, dangerous growl that cut through the celebratory chatter. Nicole, can I talk to you for a second? Privately? Nicole's smile faltered, just for a fraction of a second. Of course, brother, she said sweetly. Let me just bask in the glow for a minute longer. She turned back to accept another hug from our aunt. Rose, who had been beaming at Nicole, now turned her attention to us. Her expression wasn't one of concern, but of mild impatience. Isn't this wonderful? She said, her voice carrying a familiar, slightly sharp edge. A new baby. Just what this family needs. Some joy. As if our grief was a rain cloud she was eager to see pass. As if our daughter, our Sophia, had been nothing more than a minor inconvenience on the path to this glorious event. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I managed to choke out, "Excuse me," and fled. I didn't run to the bathroom. That felt too cliché, too expected. I just needed air. I pushed through the back door and stumbled into the garden, collapsing onto a wrought iron bench tucked away behind a large rose bush, hidden from a house. The tears I'd been holding back finally fell, hot and silent, tracking down my cheeks. I don't know how long I sat there, lost in the crushing weight of it all. The names echoed in my head. Sophia, Stephen. They were ghosts now, haunting me. The back door creaked open, and I heard footsteps on the patio stones. I quickly wiped my face, trying to compose myself. But it wasn't David. It was Nicole. She stood there, arms crossed, looking down at me with an expression that was part annoyance, part triumph. "There you are," she said, her tone devoid of any sisterly concern. "Everyone's wondering where the grieving widow went. You're making it awkward." I stared at her, dumbfounded. I needed a minute. "A minute?" she repeated, scoffing. "You've been having a minute for 4 months. We get it, okay? It was sad. It was tragic. But life moves on. The rest of us are trying to be happy." Her words were like shards of glass. "Nicole, you use our name. Sophia and Stephen. You know those were our names." She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, for heaven's sake, not this again. They're just names. You don't own a name. And besides, you're not using them anymore, are you?" The casual cruelty of it stole my breath. "We're not using them because our baby died. Nicole, that's why." "So," she shot back, her voice rising, "you think you get to just lock them away in a box and no one else can ever use them? That's selfish. I'm honoring your loss. I'm making sure the name lives on in the family. You should be thanking me." "Thanking you?" I whispered, incredulous. "Yes, thanking me," she insisted, stepping closer. "I'm the one giving Mom and Dad the grandchild they've been desperate for. I'm the one who's going to give them the joy you couldn't. The least you can do is not make my pregnancy announcement all about you and your drama." The words hung in the air between us, ugly and final. The joy you couldn't give them. It was a knife, plunged directly into the very core of my being. Before I could respond, the back door slammed open again. David stood there, his face pale with fury. He'd clearly heard everything. He strode over, positioning himself between Nicole and me like a human shield. "Get away from her," he said, his voice quiet and terrifyingly calm. Nicole put her hands on her hips. "Oh, here comes a knight in shining armor. David, I was just explaining to your delicate wife." "I heard what you were explaining." He cut her off. "And I've heard enough. You want to know why you're really doing this, Nicole? It's not about honoring anyone. It's because you can't stand not being the center of attention. You couldn't stand that for a few months. The family was focused on us, on our baby. And when we lost her, you saw your opening." Nicole's face flushed. "That's not true, isn't it?" David pressed, his voice laced with disgust. "You never once called to check on Anna. Not once. You sent me a single text message with a crying emoji. That was it. And now, at the first opportunity, you hijack our tragedy. You steal our daughter's name. And you had the audacity to corner my wife in the garden and tell her she's being selfish." Rose appeared at the door, her face a mass of concern. "What's going on out here?" "David, Nicole, stop this. Everyone can hear you." "Good," David said, not taking his eyes off his sister. "Let them hear. Let them hear how their precious Nicole admitted she's doing this because she's jealous. Because she saw our miscarriage as her chance to finally be the favorite. I did not." Nicole shrieked, but her eyes were wide, caught. "You just did," I said, my voice shaky but clear, finally finding the strength to speak. You said I couldn't give them the joy you could. You just said it. Rose rushed over, putting a placating hand on David's arm. Sweetheart, you're upset, I understand. But Nicole didn't mean it like that. You're twisting her words. This is a happy day. Can't we just focus on the happy news and deal with this later? Later? David looked at his mother, and I saw the exact moment something in him broke. The disappointment. The years of her always smoothing things over for Nicole, of always asking him to be the bigger person. There is no later, Mom. We're done. We're leaving. You're being dramatic, Rose said, her tone hardening. Anna, talk to him. Tell him he's overreacting. Nicole is just excited. And the name thing, it's a tribute. A beautiful tribute. You should be honored. I looked at my mother-in-law, the woman I had longed to call family, the woman who had blamed me for losing my baby, and I felt a strange, hollow calm settle over me. Honored, I repeated flatly. You want me to be honored that your daughter is using my dead baby's name to make herself feel better. Rose recoiled as if I'd slapped her. That's not. It is, I said, standing up. It's exactly what it is. And you're defending it. You've been defending her since the day I lost my baby, telling me I messed it up. So no, Rose, I won't talk him into anything. I'm done. David took my hand, and we walked past his stunned mother and sister, back through the house where the party had ground to an awkward, hushed halt. We didn't look back. We walked out the front door, got in our car, and drove away, leaving the scent of marinara sauce and the sound of a shattered family behind us. It's been a week of silence, of block numbers, of David and I holding each other in the dark and trying to breathe. A week of my mother-in-law, Rose, leaving voicemails that alternate between weeping apologies. I didn't mean it, your family, and furious accusations. You ruined Nicole's announcement. You're tearing this family apart. We deleted them without listening all the way through. Nicole, of course, has been busy. The family grapevine, which operates at the speed of light, has been buzzing with her version of events. According to her, I had a public meltdown and attacked her at her pregnancy announcement because I was jealous. She told everyone I screamed at her in the garden, that I called her baby names, that Dave and I are mentally unstable and need professional help. A few of the more gullible cousins have reached out with condescending messages, telling us to just get over it and be happy for Nicole for the sake of family unity. We ignored them all, until today. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. It was Nicole. She must have got a new phone or used a friend's. The text was long, a rambling, defensive manifesto. But buried within it, in a moment of unguarded fury, was the truth. You want to know why I'm doing this? Fine, I'll tell you. Because for a few months, everyone was fawning all over you. Oh, Anna's pregnant. Let's all focus on Anna. It was sickening. I'm the one who's always been there for this family. I'm the one who helps Mom with the holidays, who remembers everyone's birthdays. And what did you do? You got pregnant. Big deal. Anyone can do that. But of course, you couldn't even do that right, could you? You lost it. And still, everyone was walking on eggshells around you, treating you like some kind of fragile hero. I was done with it. So yes, I'm taking the name. I'm taking the spotlight. I'm going to be the one who gives this family what it actually needs. And you're going to sit there and watch. You're nothing, Anna. You're a placeholder. And now you're not even that. I read the message 3 times, my hand shaking. Then I handed the phone to David. He read it in silence, his jaw tightening with each line. When he finished, he looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw not just sadness, but a grim, determined resolve. The last shred of doubt, the last hope that his sister was merely thoughtless and cruel, was gone. This was malice. Pure, unadulterated and confessed in black and white. We didn't respond to her. We didn't have to. Her words were all the response we needed. Over the next 2 days, David carefully compiled a document. He included screenshots of every cruel text Nicole had ever sent me, going back months. The dismissive emojis after our miscarriage. The snide comments about my inability to carry a baby that she'd sent to David, which he'd kept. The messages from Rose, blaming me, telling me not to make my grief my whole personality. And finally, the crown jewel, the long, damning confession Nicole had just sent from the unknown number. On Sunday morning, when the family group chat was most active, full of plans for a Sunday dinner at Rose and Tony's, David posted it all. Every screenshot, every vile word. He didn't add a caption. He didn't need to. The images spoke of themselves, a devastating slideshow of his family's true nature. For a long time there was silence, then an explosion. Tony, David's dad, was the first to respond. A simple, heartbreaking, "I am so sorry. I had no idea." Then David's Aunt Maria, Rose's own sister, weighed in. "Rosie, what is this? Tell me this isn't real. Tell me my sister didn't say these things to that poor girl." The dam broke. Aunts, uncles, cousins who were parents themselves, they were all horrified. The women in the family, especially, were scathing. They understood. They knew the terror of pregnancy, the devastation of loss. To see my pain so casually mocked, my loss so cruelly weaponized, it ignited a fury in them that even Rose and Nicole couldn't deflect. One of David's cousins, a mother of 3, wrote directly to Nicole, "You are a monster. I hope your baby is born healthy and happy, because you clearly don't deserve it, but that innocent child does. And I hope you remember this day every time you look at it and you feel ashamed." Nicole's defenses were frantic and pathetic. "You're twisting my words," she typed. "I was just upset. I didn't mean it like that." But the screenshots were right there. Her words, unspun, undeniable. Rose tried her usual tactic. "This is a private family matter. David, how dare you air our dirty laundry like this? You've humiliated your sister. You've humiliated me." But her cries of victimhood fell on deaf ears. Aunt Maria publicly told her to be quiet and listen for once in your life. By the end of the day, the group chat had gone silent, but the damage was done. The realignment had begun. Tony called David privately, his voice thick with tears. He apologized for his wife, for his daughter, for his own blindness. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just wanted us to know that he saw the truth, and he was heartbroken. David told him we loved him, and we'd talk when we were ready. As for the rest, the lines were drawn. Most of the family, the decent ones, quietly distanced themselves from Rose and Nicole. A few, the ones who thrived on drama or were too enmeshed in Rose's orbit, remained loyal, becoming the classic flying monkeys, sending us sanctimonious messages about forgiveness and family. We blocked them all. It's been a month now, a month of silence, of healing, of learning to breathe again. We blocked Rose and Nicole on everything. We have no desire to ever hear their justifications, their lies, or their foxpologies again. The only person from that side of the family we have any contact with is Tony. He comes over every other Sunday for a quiet lunch. He doesn't talk about Rose or Nicole. He talks about baseball, about his garden, about the old movies he loves. He's trying, in his own quiet way, to be a bridge, not to them, but to a future where he can have a relationship with his son and daughter-in-law. It's hard and it's awkward, and there's a permanent shadow of grief in his eyes. But we're trying too, for David's sake. For the memory of the grandfather Sophia was supposed to be named after. As for Nicole, the family grapevine whispers that her pregnancy is not the idyllic dream she planned. The attention she craved has turned sour. The relatives who once doted on her now treat her with cool politeness. Her victory has left her isolated on a throne of her own making. I don't wish her ill. I don't wish her baby ill. I feel nothing for her, and that emptiness is the most complete victory I could have hoped for. David and I are not okay. We may never be fully okay. The loss of our daughter, our Sophia, is a wound that will never fully heal. But for the first time in months, we are not drowning. We are learning to float. We are learning to support each other without the dead weight of toxic people dragging us under. We talk about her. We say her name. Sophia. It is ours. It will always be ours. No one can take that from us. We are building a new life, a smaller life, a quieter life, a life with strong boundaries and a fierce, protective love for each other. We are each other's family now, and that is enough. It has to be. And for the first time since that terrible night in the hospital, it finally, truly feels like it might be.